for, what is this? April 18th, 2024. So I'd like to start. I had a suggestion that that the city council and other divisions do when they start their meeting. We used to, when Dale was mayor, we sometimes had prayers starting out. But I'd like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we all do that together? Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I think sometimes we get in such a rush we forget some of the important things.
I second that.
Yeah. All right. So we're passing the minutes around for.
Everybody got the minutes? Everybody got a chance to look at it?
We're passing them around.
But before, make sure we do a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can read them if you want to, man. There's.
I've already read them.
Okay. I thought so.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
And once everybody signed it, let me have that.
You want it?
Yeah, the book.
Thank you. I don't know whose that was, but there it is. Okay. Any public comment today? Nobody wants to say you're doing a good job, guys, or nothing? All right. We'll continue on. All right, so we have a public hearing, 48 Court Street, revision from B2 to the original zoning of R1, low-density residential.
Let me real quick, this one and the next case are related. It's the same issue on both of them. It's the three properties here next to City Hall. It's 38, Miss Ruth Jones's property, 48, which is Howard Stone's, and 62, which is the Martins who were here earlier, or Karen Martin. I guess they're not the Martins. And so basically they were originally zoned R1 when we adopted zoning. At some point they were owned by one owner, and that owner changed the zoning from R1 to B2 first for the Stone and Martin parcel, and then later changed it from R1 to B2 for the Ruth Jones parcel. So they're both here. It's two separate cases because they were two separate cases to change them to B2. And what the request is to revert the zoning from the B2 back to the original R1 zone. It's not a change to R1, it's a reversion back to it, which is kind of an important distinction. I'm not even going to go into why unless you want to ask me why. I've got a really nice big file here. If you guys need to sleep tonight, I'll let you go through it.
Well, I remember that change and why the change was requested. I mean, that house there is a nice house, so is that where you live now?
No, I live in the White House, the small white house, black roof.
Okay, the 38?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm at 38.
Okay.
And the other thing is, so they were zoned to business, but there's never been a business use on any of the properties. They've remained residential, which makes them legal non-conforming. They can continue as residential until the residential use stops for more than a year, or they change the use to something, to a commercial use, and then it couldn't go back to the residential. But by going through this reversion of zoning, it'll go back to the R1, and then if in the future somebody did want to make a commercial property out of them, they would have to go through a regular zone change request to change it to commercial. But at this time, that seems unlikely because the 3 current owners want to use it as residential.
Yeah. Yeah, I was here listening on the Board of Adjustments.
Yeah.
So, well, like you said, the original request, and I believe I remember who did it, was for that. And so how is that gonna comply with our comprehensive plan? Because that was the reason it was brought to us for this property, because it is commercial all in here, or not, business.
Let's see, I think I say in the staff report, the future land use map, which is what we look at when you're doing a zone change. So the future land use map is the tool we use when we're gonna do a zone change request. We look at it to see and this is something that we're gonna work on with our ongoing update, this future land use map. We identify in the city where we want to see more commercial growth, more residential growth, more industrial growth, and we identify that on that map. What shows on that map isn't what's actually, it might not be what's actually there at the time, it's what we want to see that area turn to. These properties actually showed as single-family residential on the future land use map. So I don't know, I wasn't there when the previous request was made. There's not really any notes on it, so I'm not really sure what the justification was for changing it from single-family residential to commercial at the time. And I'm not saying it wasn't justified, I'm just saying I don't know what it was. But I think there is no reason for us to question the future land use map. Somebody at some point decided this was going to be single family, and we can change that. We're in the process of going through updating our comprehensive plan and our zoning ordinance, and that's something that we'll look at when we get to the map part of it, which is kind of one of our next steps. But I mean, as it is right now, it does show single family residential. So from that standpoint, we would be justified in allowing it. And then the other justification is that it was changed to commercial, but it was never used as commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just continued as residential.
Yeah. Well, I for sure see the reasoning behind the request. And like you said, if you or anybody there decides to sell, and then the next person wants to unlikely tear the big nice house down, or I hear the mobile homes being moved, or trying to, and then your nice house, to turn into a business or whatever.
He has an architectural drawing of the house he hopes to build.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I fully approve of having a house there.
It would be a single family residential.
Well, just me, but, and I guess this happens, and probably I should ask Kevin how this has went over the years, because I've been in this a few years now, but you've been in a lot longer than me, about requesting a change and then somebody else wanting to change it back or change it to something else. Or, I mean, I agree with
They
it.
just have to go through this procedure again.
Yeah.
If it's a single-family home bill, I don't see anyone requesting it to be anything other than that.
Yeah.
If they did, they'd have to come back, and then a single-family home don't fit in B1, B2, or B3, does it?
Which, I mean, there's other properties around the city that are commercial that the structure was originally built as a single family home. I mean, you'd have a CPA office, you'd have a beauty parlor, you'd have a dog groomer in a single family home. There's no reason you can't use that structure for a business. If once it's built as a single family home, that doesn't mean that's all it can ever be. The zoning can change around it and the use can change despite the structure. But, yeah, I'm sorry.
So I guess the bottom line for me is were we careless when we agreed to send that for change, in last year or whatever it was?
I think it was like 2016.
I remember because it came to us, but
Yeah.
it went business because it was going to be rental / maybe Airbnb. Plus, we didn't know, but he tried to have the tower that was put by Randy on there, so it had to be business, and then we turned that structure down, right? And I think Margaretta was on the council when we did that. We didn't want to build a big antenna.
Oh,
Here. But that was originally, I don't think you done anything.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a few years ago.
I think he had specific plans for what he wanted to do.
Oh, yeah,
And then that fell through and.
It just never did go by. It
Well, I just want to make sure we wasn't careless and.
No, and I don't think this is a reflection on, it's not a reflection on planning commission or anybody, that previous change.
Yeah.
It went through the process and it got changed. That doesn't mean it was a mistake. It just means it didn't work for the current owners.
Right.
Because the owners that have it now aren't the owners who had it then.
And besides, it's a different owner, like you're saying.
Right. And they have-
So
they have
it's not the
different
same
desire for
person trying to say, oh, I messed up, sorry.
And essentially.
My problem was too, excuse me, was that it was sold to me as a residential place. That wasn't until just before my last survey was done, I've had 2 done on that little bitty piece of property, that I found out that it was even zoned business. So that didn't show up anywhere on any of the paperwork that I got, my deed, nothing. So it was just another hit in the head and of course more money.
Yeah.
So I think care needs to be given about what we're doing with properties and not just do the little tab here, tab there of business. I'm sorry.
No, I was, I'm sorry. No, and I think part of it was difficult to see which one was done what, because it was done in a couple different pieces, I think.
Yeah.
And, there had also been an original description and then a survey description that was broken off of that, and the other deeds were transferred with the original description and not the survey. So, for her to kind of find it was kind of difficult.
Well, yeah, because my deed was invalid. Let's put it that way.
Right, and in our ordinance, there's a provision that when there are certain things done, certain actions taken on a property, a zone change, something like that, there's a certificate of land use restriction that should get recorded and attached to that property, and so that if somebody does a title search or they search that property in the clerk's office, that will come up, and it'll say, this was approved on this date, this was what was approved, and these are the conditions. And I've started doing that. I think I've only seen one other ever. So that's something that'll help to prevent this in the future, but that's using our ordinance that we already have in the right way. The other thing about this, I don't know why I can't find it. There's a provision that basically says if there's a zone change request and, okay, here we go. It's section 1490, special conditions for the granting of zoning changes. As a further condition to the granting of a zoning change, the planning unit may require that substantial construction be initiated within 2 years, provided that such zoning change shall not revert to its original designation unless there's been a public meeting. This is vague, and I've cleared it up, hopefully, for our zoning ordinance update. But this is the basis that I was given. This is also in state statute by planning director of Mercer County, who said they've gone through this process a few times to revert a zoning back. But that language is the basis, that if there hasn't been a change in 2 years, you can revert it back to its, you have to have a hearing, but you can revert it back to its original zoning. And that's basically been the case. It was zone commercial, no change has been made, it can revert, with a hearing, it can revert back to its original zoning. So I'm just kind of giving you like the background of why we're at the point we're at, and how we can legally do it.
Yeah. Well, personally, I don't have a problem with what they're asking. I just wanted to get some information, to try to see if we messed up or.
No.
Not really messed up, just didn't think about the comprehensive plan when we did it, which I remember that, and so, yeah, we were thinking about the comprehensive plan.
Even the stuff I'm talking about with like the future land use map, just because the commission decides to grant a zone change request that doesn't conform with the future land use plan, that happens, and that's okay. There just has to be a justification for it. And I'm not even saying there wasn't one, I'm just saying, I don't think there's any reason to worry about that previous change.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the zone change.
We have to have a finding on that.
Yeah, I mean, did I? I'll give you all those.
100-.213.
You have it? You wanna read that, Kevin?
Before the map amendment is granted, the planning commission or legislative body or fiscal court must find that the map amendment is an agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan, or in the absence of such finding that one or more of the following apply, and such findings shall be recorded in the minutes and records of the planning commission or the legislative body or fiscal court. A, that the existing zoning classification given to the property is inappropriate and the proposed zoning classification is appropriate. B, there have been major changes of economic, physical, or social nature within the area involved which were not anticipated in the adopted comprehensive plan which have subsequently altered the basic character of such area. Who made the motion?
B.
Okay, I think it's A.
Sounds right to me.
And then just a quick point of clarification, in your motion, in the staff report, I recommend approval with conditions. Basically, the conditions are, it's the standard boilerplate, applicants shall apply for permits for any construction activities. And then I do specify the properties will not retain any business district designation. It would need to go through a full zone change to be used as a business property. They all understand that, it's not for the applicants, but just for the record, basically. And then the third condition is the Martin parcel lots shall be merged through a consolidation plat prior to the issuance of any permits for the addition or new construction of structures. It's multiple lots. Mr. Stone's already gone through that consolidation because his was multiple lots as well. And they weren't here, I was gonna talk to them before they left, but they left early. It doesn't really affect them as they are right now, but if they came in to add on to their property, they'll have to do a consolidation plat to make those interior lot lines go away. But that, I just want to clarify that should be the conditions, if you so choose.
Okay, now do I have to make a motion here
You can add that to your motion, you can say with the conditions as written,
with the conditions as written? A,
if you so choose.
if you so choose.
Did you choose?
Did you second that motion, Randy?
I did, and I'll second it again.
We're on a roll.
Okay, so that's just for the first one. The second one, the 38 Court Street, it's all same issues. Everything's pretty much almost identical, except they were a different year. But it'll need to be a separate motion.
Okay. So on this one, we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Sorry.
That's okay, that's all right. All right, moving on to the next one, so that would be 38 Court Street.
That was 48 and 60.
Yeah, that was 48 and 62. So, I guess we've heard everything we need to hear. If anybody's got any questions on the 38 Court Street, which is your home,
Yes.
make it known. Otherwise, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to accept zone change for 38 Court Street.
With
Do we have to do the same thing for that?
The
You
conditions.
said conditions. The only difference is on this one, there's not the thing about the consolidation. Bruce is it was taken care of with the minor plat. So.
And then the finding is A. All in favor? Aye.
Who made the motion?
Margareta.
I'll second it.
Kevin's doing so much right, he don't get the chance to motion. All right. Do we want to go on? I mean, we good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. And so then what happens is the next step is basically you're recommending to city council for approval, and then city council here next month and make a final decision.
On those two, right? Yeah. Presentation of draft comprehensive plan by update committee.
So I have two members of the update committee here.
I would like to say something to this committee.
Okay.
I think you all done a wonderful job. You have put a lot of time and effort and work into this plan, and it's worth me to death to go through it all.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Speak for it.
Yeah. Actually, there's 3 of us here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're sitting on the floor. I'm so sorry. There's 4 of us here.
We have had lively discussions, but I think we've, by and large, made some good decisions that we hope will help the city of Stanton.
Do you have any questions?
But anyway, thank you all.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And, yeah, so do you all have any questions about the comprehensive plan?
It looked good to me.
So the thought we had is that we'll revisit it every year, but renew it 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah,
Depending on
5 years,
what it
I
is.
think, that we would look at it every year, so it doesn't get put on a shelf and then forgotten about. That's what's happened in the past.
So what?
Well, I think our hope is that it's a kind of top of mind awareness anytime any of us are making decisions about the city and changes, to always, okay, do these changes, are they in line with our goals of the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, I noticed that, some parts you didn't have any changes.
Right.
The parts you added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I thought that was
Yeah.
The last chapter of the comprehensive plan is the implementation strategies, and we talked about that kind of our last meeting, is that really feels like that's kind of the toolbox that we should use more often. And part of the implementation strategies was that we need a like PED transportation plan for the city, parks master plan, capital improvements plan, that kind of thing. So those are things that will build onto this. They're not part of it right now, but we kind of leave room for them to happen as time goes on. And so hopefully this will get better before we update it again, but then by the next time we update it, hopefully we'll have better information. We can make the plan better all along. It really needs to be something useful and not something we just do because we have to by the statute and stay on the shelf. That tends to happen with the comprehensive plans, but I felt like the more relevant information we had in it that people could actually use. So that's why you have the demographic data, the employment, housing numbers, that kind of thing. It's a good reference point for other people. But I think we can still do better over time as we get more information. So we're happy with it, but I think next time we can do better.
All right.
It was a good start.
Good start. So we need to adapt the draft, and then
And again, this will be referred to city council for final. Final adoption.
and refer to the city council.
Yeah.
I make a motion we have the comprehensive plan.
I'll second it.
Let the record in here. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Are we gonna take that to the city council? Okay.
Yep.
You got your own copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have the zoning ordinance here. I would like to ask for the next meeting to adopt it for myself, because, when I picked it up and I work a lot and I haven't read anything. I do want to go through some of it and see what's on it, what's changed. I have a couple of concerns that I want to look for and different things, and so. Can we table this for another, till next month?
That's up to you all.
I'm asking you.
It's all right with me.
Have you read this yet?
I've looked over.
Look, I've scanned it, but I've not read it, so.
Okay, I make a motion we table it.
Till next month?
So next month.
I'll second.
All right, Kevin second, good man. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that'll help. Okay.
I'm not sure why I put that as an action item.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
It was more of an FYI, because I think this is gonna end up being contentious when it happens. Building permits expire after a year for the zoning ordinance, and I realized on April 1st that we had one permit that was sitting out there, no action had ever been taken on, and so technically it's expired, so I sent a notice. The notice is, I tracked it today, and it's being returned, so it wasn't, the signature card wasn't signed. So I've sent 2 more notices to the property owner of record, not the applicant for the permit. But this is one we talked about. So when I started last year, it was, I think, the first meeting I was at, Mr. Townsend came in, asked for a building permit in the meeting, and I wasn't happy with that necessarily, but we went ahead and did the permit. Later on, I discovered that he was proposing to build the restaurant across the property line, so I tried to contact him to say you're gonna have to consolidate the 2 lots, and he didn't want to talk about it. But then also since then, I've realized that we need to, for new commercial buildings, and this is probably something new for the city as well, we need to be requiring a development plan for new commercial, industrial, or multifamily developments, and that would, basically we would look at it, we would address the parking, if there's any landscaping, drainage, lighting issues, those kind of things, in a development plan, and once they have an approved development plan, then you can get a building permit to move forward. So I've sent the letter stating that they need to do the minor plat to consolidate the 2 lots before they can apply for a building permit. I did not specify about the development plan, but it is one of the steps that I have to have. I thought we'll just take it a step at a time. But I wanted to make everybody aware so there's no rumors floating around about what's happening, and that's the basis for it. Basically, was the more I look into the ordinance, the more I realize things that we missed in the past and the things we need to be doing. We have needed to be doing all along, and I'm not picking on anybody, but I'm just trying to be consistent from this point going forward. So anyway, I just kind of wanted.
So that opens up can, because rumors have been going that you were not gonna let that restaurant build.
Well, no, it's not that I'm trying to keep it from happening. It's that we want to do it right.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with anybody, building something that's within the scope of the laws that we have. But
And
I'm not trying to make it harder, and I'm not, and I will do everything I can to help them through the process. Step by step, here's what we need to do, and I'll work with anybody on anything to help them get through it. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. My job isn't to stop growth and development, it's to help people through the processes. But it's also to fairly and consistently administer that ordinance. And I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm doing the same for everybody, and not make it harder on any one person over another, or easier than, so it's just, I'm gonna try to stick to the ordinance.
so the 2 lots have not been consolidated? That's not how I understand it, but okay.
Not by the process that's set forth in the ordinance. And I tried to explain that to him, and he said, no, he was doing it his way. And I said, no, but here's what you actually need to do. And
Well, maybe you and I should talk, and then I can I can help with that.
I would appreciate that. Because like I was trying to explain to him, sorry I caught it now, but here's what we need to do before I can let you move forward with the permit. He's out there, didn't want to talk about it at all. So, I mean, I was just trying to explain it. I wasn't, like I said, I'm not trying to stop anybody, just trying to help them through the process. But as I catch these things that we've not been doing, and I mean, it's happened with other properties. I mean, this whole thing with consolidating lots, when a property has multiple lots, the way the ordinance reads, you can't build a structure over a property. That's any property line. So if I buy a property and my legal description says lots 9, 10, 11, 12 of X subdivision, and I go to build a house on it, really the right thing to do is to consolidate those 4 lots into one and make those interior lot lines go away. Because what can happen if there's fully platted lots is I could sell 2 lots to one person, 2 lots to another person. My house might be built over the middle. That's what I tried to explain to Mr. Townsend, is that it's 2 separate lots. He doesn't intend that he's ever going to sell this one to this one and this one to this one, but I found quite a few errors in deeds in the last few months where the wrong property got conveyed, and it happens all the time. And so we're just trying to prevent that.
Yeah. I have property line issues myself.
There's a lot of property line issues, but and we've talked about this quite a bit. A few of us in the room, that if we can fix these problems in the beginning, or at least when we catch them, instead of letting them perpetuate down the road. We don't want to kick the can down the road and somebody else inherit our problems. We want to fix our problems as we go. And this, for me, is trying to catch a problem before it is a problem. That's why that's why the permit's expired, and that's why I'm trying to notify them, before you get ready to start building things, come talk to me. That's where I'm trying to get to.
Did you explain that one night in the meeting?
Yeah, a while back. Because I asked you all for administrative review, that when he finally did come in to do it, that I could just review, because it's 2 lots. And so we talked about it once before. But
You need to talk to him.
But I mean, I'd be happy to sit down and just have a civil conversation and say, here's the steps, and this is why. I'm not trying to be mean.
All right. So that takes care of that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, somebody else. Review request 594 Breckenridge Street, minor plat to consolidate lots.
So here we go again. Mr. Brewer, so this one, this was a zone change request from a few months ago. It's by the old dry cleaner. It was zone commercial, and he had a prospective buyer that wanted to build 2 houses on it, so he did a zone change request to R2, but then for whatever reason he didn't sell the property, and so he has decided he wants to build a single family home on the property, but it's, again, multiple lots. So I talked to him about it, and his surveyors contacted me, but they just haven't gotten to the point of having a document to review. So they're going to need to do a consolidation plat like we've done for some of the others. So basically, I'm just asking.
So on the cleaner property?
No, not the dry cleaner. It's that vacant lot.
It's a big lot there, but
Yeah.
not over from the school, they're down
Yeah.
to the dry cleaner.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 2 or 3 lots. I think it's 2. It depends. Well, there's 3 there, but I don't know if he wants to use the 2 or if he wants to use the 3rd one as well. So basically, I'm just asking that when he does come in to do the minor plat, that I'll just do the administrative review if that's okay with you.
Do we need to make a motion on that? I make a motion to give him permission.
I'll second
And I took off, I had it on the agenda, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
All right. So that will revert or change back to our.
No, the zoning won't change, it'll just consolidate.
Oh, consolidated
one
the lots, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that he can build a house the size that he needs.
Yeah.
Because they're
Well-
small lots.
Well, so he can build it and it not be over a property line.
Right. Yeah, so maybe that.
Did you all vote? I'm sorry. I interrupted.
We did.
Ready to
So
vote?
No, we
you got
didn't.
motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, continue.
I think that was all the action item stuff I had. The last thing was the report, and I'm gonna give you all that. I've got my report, and then I put in the permit and code enforcement stuff since last
Were
meeting.
we not looking at the Dawson property now?
No, oh, that was what I was gonna say. I haven't heard anything else from them, so I took it off the agenda.
Okay.
I may have seen all the agenda was on it, but I think I left it in
You did.
italics because I wasn't sure and I hadn't heard anything from them, so I don't know if they just not gotten there yet or. But I need to reach out to him and see. It was a busy month.
Been a busy man, listen.
Yeah, it's like winter was over and all of a sudden,
Everything goes with.
yeah.
Where's Autumn driveway, correct?
One down toward the sewer plant.
Oh, okay.
Those two on the two cul-de-sacs on the right.
Okay.
Spring and all.
Okay.
A few of those were late additions. I sent out a bunch of stuff today that the mayor and I talked about for a little while.
I'm assuming the 6-foot fence is in the backyard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it says church here, but D&M fuel stop.
In the old machine shop, it looks like there's a church in there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I sent a letter saying they needed to get a conditional use permit because that's the zoning for that says churches are approved through a conditional use, but it got sent back, so we need to try to make contact with somebody there.
Okay. I was just confused with, you know, I separate that in my mind, but
Right.
it is.
Yeah, I think it's, I can't remember if it's one property or if it's owned by,
It's owned by the same
it's
guy.
the same ownership,
Mhm.
yeah, the two properties. Actually, kind of forgot that was on there.
That's old though,
Yeah,
last year.
yeah. Really just need to clone myself, and one do code enforcement, one do planning stuff.
Right?
I mean, we both need to get paid.
Yeah, okay. Half salary or full salary? Full salary.
Maybe double.
I think he's doing about 3 or 4 different jobs, so be careful.
We haven't even brought up the building inspector yet.
That's right. That's priority.
Everybody ready?
So I can't do that.
Do I hear a motion to accept the report as
I'll make the
given?
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Unanimous.
That's all I have.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.